Hi friends, I'm so excited for today's video. I am lucky enough to get a sneak preview of Your Monster, which isn't actually coming out in my country till the end of November, but it will be in theaters in most countries, including the US, on the 25th of October, perfectly in time for Halloween. The movie starring Melissa Barrera is about softly spoken actress Laura, who finds her voice again when she meets a terrifying yet charming monster. This romantic comedy horror is all about falling in love with your inner rage. And as much as I love disturbing content, there is something so wholesome about watching a comedy horror that's also romance on Halloween week. I'm actually gonna go and do a come chill with me because I can't see this in cinemas. I still wanna have a cozy experience with you all and give you the same after watching reaction. I know Melissa Barrera really loves this film and put her heart and soul into it. In fact, she's on the soundtrack singing. So I'm really curious to see how it all turns out. So I'm gonna take you all along today, spoiler free. I'm gonna let you know whether it's worth your time and whether you should add it to your ever-growing list of things to check out this week, especially if it's worth checking out in cinemas, or if you should just wait to see it on streaming. But first, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which makes these videos possible. Thank you so much to Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. Not only do they protect your identity and encrypt your data while you're on the internet, but they can also unlock geo-blocked content, which is my favorite use. So not only am I protected when I'm online, I'm also finding the good stuff. I use this to rent different films from different countries, trying to find the best films to recommend to you guys. And honestly, it has helped me out. I can't even tell you how many times. I use Surfshark almost every day, just trying to see what's out there. And it's so easy. All I have to do is type in where I want to be located, press OK, and I am there. It's really good to use on sites like Tubi, I find. A lot of content just isn't available to me. And you'll want to use the link surfshark.com/spooky for a special offer for 4 months extra of Surfshark. That's at surfshark.com/spooky. You can also use it in the link down below. And thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring creators like me and making these videos possible. Now let's go check out Your Monster, spoiler free. Let's go. Wow. I really like that ending. Oh my God. I have never watched a film that was so safe while being so bold at the same time. That really threw me. That film has such a strange tone to it that really catches you off guard, but it's really cathartic and soft while being super brutal. It's like a wholesome movie that isn't afraid of the sharp edges. It really took me by surprise. I thought a lot of it was gonna be really predictable, and some ended up being that way, but other parts, I never would have guessed it went that way. So the film is about Laura who, oh my God, her backstory is insane. She's struggling, let's say that, to keep it completely spoiler free, but she is struggling and her ex leaves her in the most brutal way, honestly. And that is just the start of the film, and from there, she discovers this monster. She's also a very talented performer, and she wants to be in on this musical that has a lot to do with her ex and kind of the world that she's tangled up in. So this movie is for musical lovers. It is not overwhelming with music. There's a couple of songs in there, but they're timed really well. They work really well with montages. Honestly, I wouldn't call this a musical, but it's definitely more of an ode towards older films. I felt like that's what it was trying to do. Show the flaws in these classic love stories and old films. They have a huge homage to these older films in the movie. She loves old films. She talks about how they don't make movies like this anymore. And then I feel like the love story or the romance within that is kind of like a spin on that. But I feel like at some points, the tonal change is so strange. It doesn't seem like it's mirroring classic movies, but more rom-coms from like the 90s, like very Meg Ryan, and I don't have a problem with that. It fit well in its weird way, but of course the film is an allegory, which is just so on the nose. It's so flat out about really standing up for yourself and respecting your emotions and letting that rage out. It's called Your Monster, and that's for a reason. I felt like every key point of the plot and I guess just the subject matter itself. It hit in a different way than I thought it would. When she discovers the monster, things like that, the way she accepts it and just her reaction to certain things really threw me. But it makes sense because her character obviously needs to come to terms with her own emotions and she has no way of regulating them. And so it makes sense that she's kind of erratic in that way. But it was a very different role for Melissa Barrera because I've never seen her as something so soft. She's such a sensitive person in this film, and I hate to say it, a pushover. I'm so used to her being a badass, so I thought it was a really beautiful role for her and something that she's very talented singing and acting, so it was something that really suited her and she brought it to life. She carried it, obviously. This film is super cathartic and in a way it can be predictable, or more so the allegory of it all is on the nose. It still works. It's still such a different way to tell the story. It really took me by surprise, especially the ending. And as it was developing and going through the plot, I just could never have guessed where it would end. It really hit me hard because you just think it's such a soft and beautiful tone in some parts, and they just shock you with these moments out of nowhere. So I do think that people might have issues with the tonal changes in this film, but I like films like that. I saw recently A Different Man, and although that's a completely different film, it has the same kind of tonal switches that really keep you on your toes, and it allows you not to feel comfortable in the film and you to hang off every single word because you're not too sure what's coming next. But it's such a strange ride in the way that it's perfect for what I love to do, going to the movies by myself and really using it as escapism, because this film really does whisk you away. But in the other way, being a romantic movie, it's so split down the middle with the tragedy of it all and then also the romance. And I'm talking about every aspect of the tragedy, like where she starts. It's a very harsh film where the main character is literally trying to escape into these roles or these movies, things that she loves, to try and hide from her problems. So you get lost in that too, which has a very interesting effect. The movie is also dealing with some serious subject matter, especially at the start. And it does so in such a goofy way. At the end of the day, this is a comedy and it's meant to be taken kind of lightly, but it's more of a satirical take than I expected. I actually thought it was going to be more of a goofy film, kind of like Lisa Frankenstein, but it really is odd in its own way. It's its own monster. It's more of the cathartic, everyone's thinking it kind of funny. And also some kind of on the nose moments, which I just think worked really well. I was laughing through it. I was screaming at the TV at points, encouraging her. It was a really fun ride. So going to the cinema in regards to a romantic movie, I don't know if this one is so much of a romance. I have to say, definitely romantic elements and in a horror way. So maybe romance for just horror fans. But I do think that the best way to see this movie is to really go see it at the cinema with a bunch of friends, because it is a soft and easy film to watch, but it has a lot of really surprising moments. And I think that it's perfect for Halloween. There's even a Halloween party in the film. And you know how we all feel about watching horror movies that are set on Halloween on Halloween. It's the double zinger, the triple zinger maybe. The stylized approach to this film is also really interesting because, again, it mirrors the classic film, that kind of aesthetic, especially with the musical element. It starts with that, with the titles, but also the montages, which also kind of fall into the category of the Meg Ryan. Sorry, Meg Ryan, didn't mean to bully you or typecast you. She knows that by now. You know, rom-com. But I guess that rom-com that was on such a resurgence in the 90s really had old classic cinema to thank, so it makes sense seeing a modern retelling of that. It reads very 90s rom-com. Overall, it's a very on-the-nose allegory, but it does have something a little bit different. There's some fun twists and turns in there. I think it's quite an easy watch that is super cathartic at the end of the day and well worth your time. I really enjoyed that, and I think that the ending is really going to surprise you because it shocked me. You can tell that this is a story that needed to be told, not just for the audience, but for the people creating it. It just seems spot on. And I love a good metaphor, a good allegory, sometimes on the nose is too much, but with this kind of theming, I think it's just a fun ride. I'd recommend checking out Your Monster. I'm actually really jealous I didn't get to go see this one at the cinemas because I would have died to see other people's faces at the end. It's a really fun watch, and if you can't watch it at cinemas, definitely check it out at home. Put it on your list. I think it's going to hit a lot of people's top 10s of the year. It's so strangely unique for such an obvious metaphor. I don't know what I thought it was. Beauty and the Beast gone wrong. I was so wrong about all of that. If I gave 7.5s, I would give that to this film, but I'm going to give it a 7. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun ride, but it's a little bit shaky with the tonal changes. I enjoyed that experience, and I like things that are a little bit rough around the edges, but it didn't fully come together for me because of that. Although it kept me on my toes and I really enjoyed it. For originality, I'm going to give, I would maybe say a 5. I think that's quite fair. I think there's a few other films that have actually used similar taglines. And for scare, I'm going to give it a 2 for some of the gore, but it's not a scary movie at all. The way she meets the monster, it's so funny and strange. I love strange movies. If you like strange movies, check out Your Monster. It's going to be in cinemas in some countries on the 25th of October, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. Let me know what you think about this film down below, and I will talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Happy Halloween. Bye, friends.